Okay, I'm trying to let go of the idea of perfectionism because, well, it's not real. But also, um, so many people now are virtue signaling authenticity, and part of that is probably just literally the fatigue of hyper performatism, performance. Part of that is the fatigue of, constantly being in a performance. But I think ironically, people only want a performative version of authenticity. Like, look, sometimes shit's ugly. It is what it is. Um, I'm not saying being a nuisance to society or anything. I'm just literally saying, like, you know, you love somebody, you take them as a full package. The good and the bad. Like, so many people are trying to chase contentment or this like manufactured idea of happiness. For me, I've realized peace comes from deconstruction. Healing comes from deconstruction, and it's not perfect for the record. There's no singular deconstruction, right? Like every single thing is connected. You can't just like view something in isolation necessarily. Like for instance, if you care about like black liberatory politics, you also have to care about women's rights, like feminism. Like that's just, to me, those are two very interconnected things. Like it's kind of hard to unsee how like the hair on my head is like how they try to control that is no different than how try to control like body hair on women. And like to me, like the it's all connected because the goal of those in control is to bring homogeny onto everybody. Like the propaganda is simply designed to make you um insecure, and the only way to go about that is is to um deconstruct. For instance, right? I mentioned hair. You're not gonna see this in media representation, right? Like I'm freeform locking right now, and there are people who would call like those who are in the beginning stages of those and the hair shrinking the ugly stage. I don't really like that, but it is what it is. And look, being insecure is part of being human. But I think once you deconstruct uh a lot of concepts that society has pushed onto you, which are really just expectations, uh, you start to feel a sense of bliss. Now, it's not going to happen right away. Like, it has to be deep, painful, introspective deconstruction. And, it's not going to be a singular thing either. Like I said, it's because you're thinking about it from a societal perspective, from an individualistic perspective, from a familial perspective, and everything. Um, and it can be difficult to distance yourself sometimes because um, so many people want to LARP objectivity, like that, like, oh, this is just the way things are, and it's like, no. Um, we have to acknowledge our blind spots and look at different perspectives to see what what is it that this is like really doing to us, the propaganda versus like what is our actual ideal self. Is it just you know being being a part of the trends, or is it truly uh like ascension? um if you want to ascend and not just ostrich because of the timeline we're in that is like so dystopian, so scary, then you have to deconstruct. Like, I that to me that's what authenticity means in the fucking first place. Um, like, okay, I mentioned my hair. I didn't finish the thought because I love rambling, but like, I may get comments like, "Oh, you need a lineup. Oh, you need to get a haircut." Oh, like, I realize that is literally just people enforcing a sense of hegemony, homogeny. I don't fucking know, but like, oh, you're trying to make us as similar as possible. Um, to essentially be one entity instead of having us be unified into multiple entities that can all connect. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, but that's why for me, like, that's what my music has become for me. Like obviously originally I probably was much more in a delusional state about it. Um, like the the propaganda about the fame and the what the alleged life that the people who play 4D chess with our minds try to sell us. And now I realize for me it's about creating an experience that people can resonate with, that they can be like, oh, I feel heard by this person, not because I necessarily want to capitalize. Like, oh, okay, yes, unfortunately, like if it was up to me, if we were living in a pure and ideal world, art would be for the sake of art. But unfortunately, in a world like this, artists are entrepreneurs, which it's interesting. I won't deny that like the business tactics I've seen can be creative within itself, but I also wish it just didn't have to be the case that like people need to do this to survive when it's like, yeah, people were doing this in indigenous countries just because. You feel me? Like, do- you know what? My advice to other artists out there that are like insecure. I mean, look, I don't have the status to be speaking about this, but in general, in terms of your like creativity, right? Remember that this is something you're supposed to do. Remember that this is something natural. Okay, like for many cultures, like dancing and singing is no different than breathing and walking and talking. So I, that's all I really gotta say there. Yeah, just put your creativity into the ether. And getting back on the deconstruction part of it, realize you're not immune to propaganda. Everything has an ulterior motive. Everything is a fucking ad. Everything is fucking propaganda. Now, is it propaganda that is within your favor? Is it an advertisement for something good? Well, that's something you have to discern. And this doesn't mean don't have your fun, right? Like, if you're a fan of like, okay, anybody who knows me in real life knows I'm not a fan of Marvel movies. I just think it's military propaganda. I just think of personal psyop, right? But you may still enjoy these things, even acknowledging those things, and that's the thing I want to like make clear is like you don't have to be an extremist about this. I am, but that's just because that's my personal moral compass. But um, I think just the fact that we have reached a point where the path of least resistance is, the status quo, just the norm, and then you're wondering why people aren't like riled up. I think that's yeah, I think like it's obvious actually. The more you just try to keep yourself satiated when things are not, and you don't dig deep why things are not, the more you just put yourself in this state of anxiety and volatility.